Dear viewers, welcome to this episode of Expert Speaks. These are the days of crypto trading. Ask any youngster, he is considered as if that he's not a human being if he is not trading in crypto. Crypto trading is something which every youngster aspires to do, rake in big amount of money. But people do not know the kind of risk they go through as well as the taxation which comes along with the crypto trading. In this episode, Expert of the Week, Chartered Accountant Sriram is going to talk to you about how the crypto trading is going to be taxed as per the Indian Income Tax Act. Stay till the end of this video. Many finer points will be discussed during this interview. This is NRI Money Clinic for you, and I am Dr. Chandrakant Bhatt, your financial guide for a happy living.
NRI Money Clinic. No hype, just the right advice.
Dear viewers, to talk about the crypto trading and the taxation as per the Income Tax Act, the guest in the studio today is my popular faculty member, Chartered Accountant Sriram Rao. Chartered Accountant Sriram Rao is partner at Nitin J. Shetty & Co., a man who practices direct taxation, man with enormous experience of handling direct tax queries, taxation for NRIs. He has solved many of the tricky problems which are there in the taxation field for our clients. Welcome to this episode, Mr. Sriram Rao.
Thank you.
Mr. Sriram Rao, one thing in the last 4 years we have never touched upon is the cryptos. As a practitioner, we never consider crypto as an asset class for any of our serious investors. Somehow we have stayed away from that. But audience keeps asking me question, why don't you do an episode on crypto? I don't want to do an episode on crypto, but at least I thought let them be helped with the taxation aspect of what happens when they trade in cryptos. What does the law say? How they have to account? What are the finer points on this? So let's discuss and debate in this episode how the taxation happens. Before we begin, let me first ask you a question. What is considered as a crypto in the first place?
See, under Income Tax Act, there is no particular terminology as cryptographic means or something like that. All in all, from 1st April 2022, that is Finance Act 2022, has come up with the taxation scheme or mechanism for virtual digital assets. Okay. So they have defined what is virtual digital asset, and all the incomes which is earned out of that will be covered within that definition. And the VDA or virtual digital asset, which we normally call it as, it is a definition having 3 components and a restrictive definition having only 3 components. But that 3 components is covered with the broad area of digital assets. Now, it covers such as any information or code or number or token not being in the form of an Indian currency or a foreign currency, generated through cryptographic means or otherwise by whatever name called. See, any name it can be, having, and providing a digital representation of value exchange or functions as a store of value or unit of an account, including its use in the financial transaction or investment. So this definition itself is very broad. Further, it also includes something called as NFTs, non-fungible token. Okay, that's the second clause in this. NFTs or any token of similar nature by whatever name called. So that is also covered. Then any other digital asset, say in future, it may come up. So those digital assets which may come in future, the government may notify that as a virtual digital asset for taxation purpose under Income Tax Act. So all in all, VDA has been defined like this under Income Tax Act, and they have also come up with a scheme for taxation of VDA.
Dear viewers, please note, crypto is quite broad in its applications or in its reference. This video, what we are doing today is restricted to crypto trading. There are a lot of areas which appear to be gray in reference to the prevailing laws. Probably we hope that there is more clarity will emerge over a period of time. So we will do this episode only with respect to trading in cryptos at this point of time. and try to develop some clarity for the benefit of those people who are engaged in the crypto trading. Nevertheless, we will do more videos as times pass by when clarity emerges. Otherwise, when we were doing research, we came across a lot of topics, or we were finding it difficult to decipher, difficult to comprehend, and I don't want to bring all these things and confuse the audience here. So we'll try to make it as simple as possible. Mr. Sriram, with this caveat, let me ask you a question. When somebody sells crypto during a trade, does it generate a capital gains tax?
It's a very interesting and a very tricky question. Okay. The answer can be both yes and no. And I will tell you the reasons for both. See, one school of thought says that since the word asset is used while identifying the crypto under the Income Tax Act, the same will have to be considered as a capital asset. Okay. And if it is held for, in the nature of investment, then definitely it should be considered as a capital asset. Further, to aid this argument, the usage of word capital asset is also found in one of the substantials where the taxation of VDA has been schemed off, or they have provided for rate of taxes, or in the manner in which the income from VDA has to be determined. Under that section, there is a usage of word capital asset. Though it is used negatively, it kind of gives an indication that VDA can be considered as a capital asset, generating capital gain also. However, in my view, VDA cannot be considered as a capital asset because there is no underlying asset as such when crypto or say NFT has been formed. It's just a fungible token. NFT is a fungible token, nothing but that. Cryptocurrencies are like value for some coins or such and such formats. Okay. However, it is not having any asset base for it for determining the value. So that being the case, it is just works on the fluctuation of demand and supply. So if the more of demand and less of supply, definitely the rate will increase. So it purely a speculative transaction as such, and it cannot be a capital asset. Furthermore, if it was the intention of making this VDA as a capital asset to be, brought into tax as a capital gain, then definitely while introducing this VDA, they would have brought this definition of VDA under the definition of capital asset, but they have not done it. Further, capital gain taxation, there is a specific mechanism or specific chapter as such under which how the capital gain taxation has to be calculated, that has been defined or provided for. But under that also this taxation of VDA has not been brought in. They have been brought in under a separate section as such. So that being the case, it cannot be considered as a capital asset in my personal view. However, all said and done, it was actually does not make any difference whether it is a capital asset or otherwise, because of the fact that the rate of tax on this, VDA income is flat rate of 30%. So there is not going to be much of a difference whether you declare it as a capital gain or otherwise.
Since the rate of taxation is 30%, so you feel that whether it's a capital gains or not, it doesn't matter. You don't need to calculate the short-term or long-term capital gains. Whatever you make out of it, you have to pay 30% taxes. It remains as simple as that.
Yes.
Okay. If that is the case, how is the income generated from crypto trading? How is it determined? Are there any points that the audience have to keep in mind while income is determined?
See, calculation of taxable income of VDA is very simple. Whatever is the sale consideration that one receives upon sale of a crypto or transfer of a crypto, okay, or VDA as such, from that deduct the cost of acquisition, if any, to arrive at the taxable value of VDA. That's it. And on such income, apply 30% rate of tax. That's about it. There is no other mechanism or anything. It's very simple. Sale consideration less cost of acquisition. That's it. The income plus into that 30%. That is the rate of tax.
So you use the word cost of acquisition. What all is included in the cost of acquisition?
Cost of acquisition is very simple. It includes only the amount that you spent on purchase of that particular virtual digital asset. It will not include anything else. It will not include any other expenditure, or it will not include any allowance, or even set off of any loss shall not be allowed to the SSE under the provisions of the Act while determining the VDA income. So, no claim of any kind in respect of any expenditures other than the cost of acquisition allowance or set-off of losses from VDA or otherwise. Nothing can be offset against the VDA income.
Let me illustrate this with the help of an example now. A trader comes with a lakh of rupee as the capital. He buys the asset for a lakh of rupee. And there is incidental expenses because of exchange cost or some transaction cost. Can the exchange related or the transaction cost be included in cost of acquisition, or only the amount what he pays to the seller of that asset has to be considered as an acquisition cost?
Only the amount that has been paid for acquisition of that asset, only that can be allowed as a deduction. No transaction cost or say brokerage or commission or some kind of small taxes sometimes, nothing can be deducted. Only cost of acquisition, what is paid to the seller of that VDA, can be claimed as a deduction.
Now, let us look at another case example now. These are many a times ultra short-term tradings people make. They do a leverage. Usually the cryptos happen with a leveraged buying and sell out and kind of a things it will happen. Now, let's say a trader does 10 trading activity in a day's time, from morning till evening or in a 24 hours period. I don't know how the trading works in that, but let's assume that he has done 10 different trades. Out of these 10 different trades, he has lost in X number of trades and he has made money in Y number of trades. At the end of the day, he has a daily totals. I have brought the capital, this is my profit, this is my loss. Will you take the end of the day position for a calculation of income tax, or you calculate these as 10 different transactions and you say the losses that are come in certain trades cannot be offset against the profits you have made on the same day? Let's look at it as an intraday trading. That's it.
Understood. See, from the point of view of income calculation of VDA, it is very clear that any income which is earned from VDA transaction, that has to be taxed. However, if there is a loss from a VDA transaction, that has to be ignored. Whether those 10 transactions done in a day or month, that doesn't matter. So in your scenario, if in a day 10 transactions are done, wherein X number of transactions are generating loss, that has to be ignored. Y number of transactions have generated profit, that has to be brought to tax. That's it. On that 30%. You cannot net off X and Y and bring that net amount to tax.
Mr. Sriram, from the information what you gave, it looks to be a dangerous exercise. Traders could be sitting on a potential taxation issue in this particular case. He could be thinking that the losses I have made will be offset from the gains that I have made. So traders have to keep in mind that if you have executed the trades, if there is to be a profit, you have to set aside 30% of the profits as a tax liability that has come because of that particular trade. If you try to clump the losses and profit, it may give you a completely wrong impression of it. So if you have done losses, the losses have to be offset either from your capital or from the capital plus profit net of taxes from the previous trade. You can never offset your losses against the profit you have made from another trade without paying any taxes. Every profitable trade involves payment of taxes at 30%. Every losses is yours. Every expenses that you have incurred on crypto trading, be it the brokerage, be it the exchange related costs or anything, is all yours. This is something which has to be kept in mind when you do the trading. Is my interpretation here, is it correct, Mr. Sriram?
Absolutely right. Some people might think that, okay, I have purchased a computer for doing this trading and I want to claim the depreciation. Okay, against the income. No. Big no. That such depreciation allowances cannot be claimed. Okay, what can only be claimed is cost of acquisition. After that, if the net is a profit or a gain, that will attract tax 30%. That's it. If it is a loss, just have to be ignored. Net income cannot be brought to tax. It is not like other business operations where losses and profit can be offset. It is very specific. The law is very specific on this.
Your explanation leads me to one other question. Now, in case of capital gains or capital loss, there is a provision to carry forward the losses if it is not offset this year. I'm talking about a very optimistic person who thinks that losses cannot be offset now, but in the future budget or at some point of time, if government becomes very considerate and it says that if you carry forward the losses on crypto trading, I will offset it. Can they carry forward on their balance sheet the losses that they have incurred?
See, as per law only, it has been properly given that loss from VDS cannot be carried forward. So that means it cannot be carried forward at all. Furthermore, there's no point in carrying forward because of the prevailing laws. It will not allow you to offset that loss against any income, whether it is VDA income or otherwise. Then what is the point of carrying forward? Maybe in future, if it comes, it will be prospective only. It cannot be, retrospective, allowing you to claim the losses of earlier years.
So, dear trader, if you're trading in cryptos, there's no need for you to carry forward the losses, if any, hoping that government will write it off at some point of time or allow you to write it off. So even if that taxation comes that way, probably as Mr. Sriram says, it can come from prospective that day, has nothing to do with what happened in the past. One other case that can come to my mind is you mentioned that the cost of acquisition can be claimed as something which can be left out of the taxation. I will tell you a case scenario. Let's say that a trader has received a few cryptos as a gift from a relative or a non-relative, which means he has not paid any money for that. In such a case, what happens to the cost of acquisition?
And now this, I can think of few circumstances wherein, there is no cost of acquisition. Okay. But for that particular individual who has that crypto in his hand or VDA in his hand at that point of time. But, there are certain circumstances which will allow you to claim some cost of acquisition. I will explain a few examples. Now, for example, if one has inherited VDA, at that time, the person who has inherited has not incurred any cost to that. But still, the cost of the previous owner can be claimed by this person.
Okay.
So it is very simple because inheritance is not in your control. After the death of a person, it comes to you. That's it. Then one more circumstance is gift received from a relative. So at this point of time, such gift will not attract tax in India because it is from a relative, received from a relative. So at that time also, such gift received also cannot be considered as a transfer. So once you are having that and you are ultimately selling it to a third party, at that time, the cost of the previous one can be claimed by you. So that is one more scenario that I am, thinking of where even though you have not incurred any cost, you can claim the cost. And there can be circumstances where gift is received from a relative. It will be similar to if the gift is received from a non-relative. Okay. Under these circumstances, at the time of receipt of the gift, that itself and VDA comes to your hand without you having to spend any amount of money, or you have spent an amount which is less than the fair market value of that VDA as of that particular day. So under these circumstances, if that gift amount of VDA exceeds rupees 50,000, then automatically the entire amount will attract tax in that particular person's hand. So if such gift is received from a non-relative, at the time of receipt of the gift itself, the value of that gift will attract tax in the hands of that particular person as a VDA at 30% rate of tax. And when that gift VDA is ultimately sold to a third party, the amount on which the tax has been paid by that particular person can be claimed as a cost of acquisition. This is how that can be this one. But one another circumstance is like the cryptos are like, having some keys, etc., or passwords, those kind of things. So if you are lost that password, that can be, stolen by somebody, or cryptos or VDS can be stolen by somebody, or a person can receive that crypto as a ransom. Okay. Under these circumstances, you are holding in that way. So it is not received as a gift, but you have stolen it from somebody. At that time, when you are ultimately selling that, there will not be any cost of acquisition that you can be claimed.
So it's an illegal transaction, but nevertheless, you are in possession of that.
Correct.
You are trading it for a consideration. So even if it is illegal, it's subjected to taxation, right?
Perfect. We have in income tax, there are so many, circumstances where even the smuggled goods sold, that is a trading, it's a smuggling, correct. But it's a trading and you have earned profit out of that. On that profit, that one person has to pay the income tax. It might be different circumstance that, for smuggling, he will be, imprisoned or he might be punished under separate law. But under Income Tax Act, that income is also an income on which that person has to pay tax.
One question that comes to my mind is you said that if he is a relative, then it is accepted as a gift. In
Correct.
India, everybody can become a relative. How do you describe a relative? What does the law say about who can be a relative and who can't be a relative?
Yeah, this relative is definition has been already we have been interviewed on this channel itself on taxation of gift. In that I've explained. It's very simple. Upar niche, aage piche, aju baju. This is what normally we think of. Upar niche means you are ascendant and descendant. Okay. Then aage piche means your brothers and sisters and your spouse. So in that, your parents, grandparents, your children and grandchildren, everything will be covered. Then brothers and sisters are covered. Then comes their spouses. So those are the relatives actually.
It's clearly defined in the law. So
Yeah,
there is no ambiguity that somebody will take shelter upon. He can't say that he is my relative. So who is a relative is described as per the Income Tax Act. One another question that comes to my mind is this. Now you get these digital currencies.
Correct.
Are digital currencies, the cryptos, are they subjected to any kind of a taxation? And now every government is thinking about bringing out a digital currency. How does digital currency compare with the cryptos, what people popularly trade in?
The digital currencies, whether it is an Indian currency, INR, now recently, in past 1 year, it has already been under trading, or it can be used through wallets, can be transferred through INR, can be transferred through a wallet digitally. So those kind of currencies, INR or any foreign currency. Foreign currency means any official currency of any other country other than India. That will not be considered as a VDA or virtual digital asset. And trading in those foreign currencies, etc., will not be considered as a trading in VDA for the purpose of income tax.
Mr. Sriram Rao, thank you for these inputs from your side. I understand how difficult it is at this point of time. It's in an evolutionary phase. Developments keep happening. It is the very early phase of evolution. So you have a very cruel taxation around crypto taxes. People have to be very mindful before you do the trading, before you incur losses, before you consume that money which might come as profits out of the crypto trading. Please set aside the tax obligations. If you have a tax obligation, make no mistake, it will not go anywhere and you are liable to pay taxes. Thank you very much for your expertise. Thank you very much for your time to bring all these points for the benefit of all those people who have an interest in crypto. Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Dear viewers, hope the video that I have done today helped you to understand what would happen when you start doing the trading and how the taxes will impact your take home from the gains or the losses of your crypto trading. If it did give you the required information, please do not forget to give me a thumbs up. If you have not yet subscribed for this channel, please do hit the subscribe button, press the bell icon. Do not forget to share these videos with your friends and relatives, near and dear ones, and on all the WhatsApp groups on which you are connected with. Thank you very much for watching this episode on NRI Money Clinic. I shall be back with you next Tuesday with yet another topic, with yet another expert. Till then, stay safe. Jai Hind.
Press the bell icon for more details and subscribe our channel.